That takes us right to this Fox News alert. 120,000 troops could be deployed to the Middle East as tensions boil over with Iran.
This according to the New York Times, as the president has issued a stern warning to Iranian officials.
Yeah, things are getting tight. Griff Jenkins joins us now from Washington with possible course of action and a game plan in case it does. Right, Griff?
Yeah, good morning, Steve Ainsley and Brian. A startling way to start your Tuesday. The New York Times reporting that this morning the White House is considering an even stronger military response if Iran were to attack U.S. troops or intensify its nuclear program. In a current plan, they report that as many as 120,000 troops would be deployed to the Middle East. Now, in comparison, there was just over 130,000 troops deployed to Iraq in 2003. This revelation coming just hours after the president issued a stern warning yesterday from the Oval Office.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a bad problem for Iran if something happens, I can tell you that. They're not going to be happy. They are not going to be happy people. Okay? You can figure it out yourself. They know what I mean by it.
Now, this tough talk comes on the heels of 4 Saudi Arabian oil tankers sabotaged off the coast of the UAE. Military officials believe Iran or Iran-backed proxies are responsible for the attacks. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is meeting with European officials in Brussels to talk about Iran, now topping concerns in that region. Now, it's unclear, guys, what's driving this escalation and change in stance with Iran, between Tehran and Washington. But as a precaution, the Pentagon has moved an aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, B-52 bombers, a Patriot missile battery, and more firepower to the Gulf region. One thing is very clear, and that is tensions are rising this Tuesday morning.
There you go. All right, Griff, thank you very much. So this plan was presented by the acting Defense Secretary, Patrick Shanahan, who Brian's going to interview here in just a minute, last Thursday. And what's key is this is just a plan, although some have suggested it is a scare tactic to remind Iran, if you do anything stupid over there, we've got backup plans for you. It all depends on if Iran attacks U.S. forces or accelerates their work on the nuke program.
Right. President said it would be a bad mistake. The reporter said, what do you mean by that? He said, they know what I mean by that. Taking this very seriously. Says this is not plans for a land invasion because that would call for more troops.
There were tankers hit yesterday, and even though there were Saudi tankers, and even though, and obviously unarmed, they were moving oil. And even though the Saudis haven't come out and said Iran did it, they said they're investigating it. Early indications are Iran did it. And remember the emergency meetings that Secretary of State Pompeo was forced to cancel and have with our European allies, put off in the short term Germany and Greenland, and then he went quickly to Iraq, and then he met with our European allies to simply say, look at the evidence we have of what Iran is up to. Are you still interested in staying with this agreement, right, even though within 60 days they've also pledged to enrich uranium, which is a violation of the plan you're holding to? Right. And for those who say the president should never have left the plan, well, maybe the previous president should have passed the plan. He did not have the Senate approval of 60 votes. He lost key Democrats. He had 40 votes. And had he put the treaty and had it passed, the president would have had to overturn it. Instead, he had a piece of paper which he thought was not worth what it was printed on. Meanwhile, acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan, I think that the second thing on his mind after the border was Iran. So I asked him, sorry about the fact that we're in the air and it's kind of loud, about Iran and the threat that they present.
How concerned are you about Iran? Iran in Iraq is an issue. Iran in Syria is an issue. Iran in Lebanon is an issue. Iran-supported groups in Gaza is an issue.
Throughout the Middle East, you also see them in terms of their cyber activity, maritime activity, ballistic missiles. So they're a significant threat.
And with the economic sanctions, do you think you might force them into extreme behavior?
The pressure campaign, the maximum pressure campaign that Secretary Pompeo has been leading, and Secretary Mnuchin, is having a significant effect on their economy.
Very measured. Obviously, he's going to be asked about that during the nominations hearing.